You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you. And I'm already cracking up as we do this podcast. I'm sitting across from Troy Clogg with Troy Clogg Landscape Associates.
Hey, guys.
How we doing, brother?
Yeah, wonderful. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good. Well, you were telling stories, and I'm just laughing this whole time. And we've already covered investing. We've already covered real estate and, personal growth. And Troy's like, well, what's left to talk about? And I'm like, this is why we hit record on a podcast first. We're also trying something different here. We got a video playing here on YouTube. So let me know what you guys think about doing video podcasts. It's something that we might be trying in the future. But so Troy, a lot of folks know you from the video that we did on your whole site. So we did a little walkthrough and tour.
Yeah, you were a bit of a stalker that day, but it played out well.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it worked out well.
I was kind of creeping.
It's okay.
Well, I was shooting you a message on Facebook, and I said, hey, can I do a tour through your shop and through your place? And you just are generally a giver, and you're a nice guy. So you said, sure. But I don't think you knew what that meant. You're like, sure.
Well, yeah, and I had to do it again today. As we got to start talking about real estate, yeah, so the buildings are being appraised, right? It's a good time to get lower rates.
Sure.
The appraiser comes in, can you give me the tour? I said, why don't you just go to Fullerton's YouTube channel or find a link on mine and watch it there. Why do I have to do this again?
Yeah.
And you walk around and you do the same thing.
Well, that's why we're doing the pre-run for you.
Perfect.
I was trying to save you money.
I know.
So I'll just take I get the 1% on the difference. And
I'll be happy to help you any way I can, Brian.
Well, for you guys that don't know Troy Clogg, you might be living under a rock. Troy's been in the industry for more than 40 years. Definitely a cornerstone, a staple. And I know you're going to say, hey, I'm just another guy. But a lot of people look up to you for leadership, mentorship at the large level. And then also here locally, my friend Mike Bedell, as you know.
Love Mike.
A lot of stuff that you've taught Mike over the years, I know has permeated into what Mike's taught me, for running my business and snow plowing. So your fingerprints are on a lot of people out there, which is super exciting. And so
responsibility, though, it starts to feel like as life goes on.
Amen. Well, and that's something that I wanted to talk about in this podcast. I heard somebody say the first third of your life you learn, the second third of your life you grow, and the third phase of your life you give back. I don't know. Do you find any merit to that?
Are
you in that?
I would call that the most common.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't hurt to reverse that. It doesn't hurt to give back in the beginning either.
Amen to
what
that.
I've certainly learned. The sooner you start figuring out how to help people and help your community and help those, whoever that may need your help,
sure,
the better life gets. So,
amen to that. Well, we're givers. Well, let's do this. We're going to go into your story here for a couple quick minutes. We're going to take a quick break here from our show sponsors that help keep the lights on and keep the podcast coming to you guys 3 days a week. So we're going to hear from our show producer, Marty, and then we'll get right back into it.
We are always grateful that you make time to listen to Fullerton Unfiltered. The videos that Brian was referring to are on the Brian's Lawn Maintenance YouTube channel. Just search for Hanging with Troy Clogg and talking about the snow business, and then you can see the video podcast of today's show that you're listening to. And also check out touring a multi-million-dollar landscaping company's headquarters. That way you can see the tour of Troy's amazing facility. If you've not yet subscribed to Brian's channel or to this podcast, that would be just a great, tangible way to give back and help us keep putting out great content. We appreciate you doing that, and we certainly appreciate our friends at Equipment Defender.
Looking to outfit your trailer with the best racks in the industry? Head over to Equipment Defender. Be secure, look professional, be organized, stop thieves and damage in their tracks. Equipment Defender has racks for backpack blowers, trimmers, gas cans, backpack sprayers, and more. Stay organized, stay secure with Equipment Defender. All Equipment Defender racks work in either open or enclosed trailers. Get secure and organized today at equipmentdefender.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Equipment Defender.
I can read your mind. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You don't have eyes on your equipment, and you're wondering if some joker... Now, how did that word get in my vocabulary? Yeah, did some joker make off with my stuff? Isn't it time you got Equipment Defender? By the way, Brian's 10 saves you 10% on all orders online. You can get peace of mind today, save a few bucks, and of course, help out the show with the promo code Brian's10 at equipmentdefender.com. Now back to today's show with Brian and Troy.
All right, cool deal, guys. Well, let's jump into your story, Troy. Why don't you just give everybody the abridged version, if you don't mind, because it's 40 years, brother.
Yeah, and you know me well. I don't abridge much.
Take it away. How did you get started in the industry and in this whole this aircraft carrier we got today?
Oh man, mostly that answer is survival, right? So I know you started as a young guy with just needing some money, needing to pay the bills,
necessity.
So kind of survival, right?
Okay.
So needed to make a living somehow, was always willing to knock on somebody's door and say, anything I can do around here, right? So it was cutting grass, shoveling snow, raking leaves, cleaning gutters. Man, I paint this. I don't know. I did a lot of stuff. So that's kind of how it started. And then I thought I would grow up and try some college, and that was expensive because I was paying my own way, which just meant not only did I have to pay, but I had to take time off of work.
Right.
So I did that part-time for a few years. Thought I wanted to be an architect, or always wanted to build stuff.
Absolutely.
Chose not to do that career path. In the meantime, like so many other people, kept their businesses going in the background, needed money. And then eventually just jumped ship to that. So I was raised by World War II veterans. So my parents were in their early 40s when I was born, which is pretty rare back then.
Sure.
So by the time I was a late teenager, they were going, dude,
right.
We're moving to the retirement condo thing. I don't know where you're going. Right. The basement isn't going to work anymore. I'm
okay.
Like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So.
And you were what, 17, 18, 19?
Yep. I was
Okay.
all in that time range. I'm like, okay. So I got the 1 year warning. I'm retiring and moving out in a year, and it's 55 and older, so you're not going to come there.
You don't qualify.
So I'm like, fair enough. So save up some money, buy the first house.
Sure.
Build the business, hire the first, real employee who is still here. God bless him.
Yep.
Almost 40 years later. And, then from there you just keep working hard and finding good people to join the team. And as we discussed, flipping some real estate along the way. And building buildings and building
other
teams
companies.
Helping build other companies. And that's been the journey.
Well, I wanted to talk about one thing that we're all going into here with fall and winter is with snow, right? And I would say you're definitely known for lawn care landscaping. And by the way, we didn't talk about this before we started the video or the podcast, but I'm building a new home, right? So next 12, 18 months, we're going to have a little estate, a little abode. And I need a good landscape design guy. So I need a good guy to do the whole front. I'm going to try to bring in some other guys to maybe to do this backyard, like this awesome backyard patio, but might have you do a little bit of A, a little bit of B. You know what I'm saying?
You never know. Well, we're a Unilock distributor at the other shop.
Yeah.
And so we can probably figure out something there.
I like it.
And
that'd be cool.
I don't know. I mean, if you like the style, I did design all this too. I can do the inside with you if you need some help.
I will definitely take any critiques and attaboys. I'll show you some photos when we're done. We just got the first floor plan of the construction of the home, the first, like all the drawings, and it's looking pretty nice. And I'm going to be neighbors by you.
It's exciting. I heard.
We're in the same neck of the woods. So if you're
welcome,
I know. So if you're hanging out on an early Saturday or Sunday morning, we'll go to Cheryl's place. We'll get some scrambled eggs.
We will.
A little breakfast nook for some of you guys. My favorite breakfast restaurant. So
yeah,
but that's in your back of the.
We won't cross. I mean, I'll have to go there. I will go there for you, Brian.
Okay.
Grecian Island is my little stop down at the corner.
I don't know that.
I know, right?
Okay.
Well,
see,
you're gonna learn.
Teach me, brother.
They're all good, but you're gonna learn.
So this whole shop that you got here, and then talking about snow. I know you do, like I said, a lot of landscape design, lawn maintenance, residential and commercial. But I feel like this is just my perception. You're really known for snow too. I'd say that most people here know you as like the big snow guy.
Yeah, and it's let me just share that advice. It's what you brand yourself and what you wish to become, you will become.
There you go.
Right. So before for years, it was just kind of a reasonable blend, like most people are, who are at least in this climate and do a little bit of everything. There was no heavier really in anything.
Sure.
We've always wanted to employ people year round. Don't lay anybody off.
Amen.
And so to that point, then you needed, however big you were in the summer, you needed to make sure you at least had that much work in the winter.
Sure.
And that was kind of the model.
Yep.
Until we decided we wanted to go bigger in snow. And so we pre-branded ourselves that.
Okay.
Long before we were.
What percentage are you guys doing now with lawn care to snow plow and snow removal?
We're probably, we bounce around, but probably 60 or 70%.
Yeah.
Snow.
See, I'm in that
10 or 20% maintenance.
Okay.
And the rest, and then the other 20 or 30, however the math plays out each year, is construction.
So like new design and landscape construction.
Yep.
Wow. Well, and that's where my story 4 years ago, I wanted year-round income, so I got into snow plowing. And I was like, this is a whole nother, I always tell, he's laughing, because it is a different animal. Like, it's in the same industry, right? Like, you think lawn and snow is like the two oars in the water on the rowboat. Yeah. But in my opinion, like, snow's an entirely different business. And if you're listening down south, you're like, snow plowing, snow removal, what? What are you talking about? But you come up in the Midwest, it's a huge part of a lot of landscape companies' top line and bottom line. And so snow plowing, you guys tell us a little bit more about your snow outfit, your snow operation, if you don't mind me asking.
Well, so to that point, so a lot of us as entrepreneurs and self-employed people, sometimes we're called control freaks, but the reality is when you do personality profile yourself, which I recommend anybody goes down that road, figure out yourself. The sooner you figure out yourself in life, the sooner you can figure out other people and who you get along with and who you don't and how you can motivate other people. Super important.
Good tip.
That's another podcast.
Yeah.
But so when I took my first personality profile, and there was a line item called control, and I was 91 out of 100. I'm thinking, I'm not that controlling, right? But when you read the definition, here's the point. It's control of your time. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
I like that.
And so do so many other people. You're in that bucket, and so many of the people listening or watching right now are too.
Sure.
Snow doesn't allow that.
This is true.
This is very different. You really have to get a mindset of Christmas morning, you might not be there sometimes. Or, wait a minute, I had a plan to go out tonight.
Sure.
Guess I'm not going out now.
Yeah.
And say bye-bye to your family and take a little nap and go out and work. So it's more of a first responder environment.
Yeah, it's a commitment.
And that's why it's truly full of, over time, it's full of very serving, caring people. A lot of people that either are or have served the country, and firemen and police and medics and people who are just hardwired to jump to whatever the issue is and make a difference in somebody else's life no matter what.
Sure.
They're the core of it.
Yeah.
And they are the best of the best on anybody's team. And a lot of entrepreneurs are wired that way too. So for them, it can fit better. For me, I had to, just like you, I'm like, well, I need to work in the winter, so
sure.
I guess I work when it snows.
Here we go. Well, the lawn maintenance side of it, like you said, hey, today we're cutting 25 lawns, right, on Monday, 25 lawns on Tuesday. It's very predictable. A little bit of rain, maybe a little this, a little that, something breaks down. But it's very predictable. You go to snow, like you said, you might work 7 days in a row. You might have 2 weeks off. I remember vividly my first year, we had like an 8-inch snowstorm on Christmas, right? And so Christmas night, after I'm hanging out with the whole family on Christmas Day, Christmas night, I brought the plow truck, and my mom's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to go plow. You're already laughing, you know. I'm like, I got 4 commercial sites and 40 residential driveways. She's like, it's Christmas. I'm like, and I'm like, these people pay good money. Like, this is what we do. She's like, oh, and she didn't know. And and my wife, Liz, bless her heart, she jumps in the truck with me. She's like, I want to go on an adventure. And I go, here we go. So as you know, we're out there till 9 and 10 a.m. Peeking out. And I remember vividly my first year, I dropped the blade. I was back dragging somebody's driveway, and they had like 4 cars in the driveway. So it was a little bit of a pain in the butt. And I see like the blinds like peek through, you know, and I get a text, pew, you know, on the phone, and it's like, Brian, is that you? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's Christmas. He's like, go away. he's like, what are you doing? Go spend time with your family. I'm like, no, Kyle, like, you pay good money. I'm here. He's like, God bless you, dude. He's like, but we ain't going anywhere for 2 days. And, but it is a different commitment.
It is.
It's an entirely different environment.
It is. And it, you know, some of when in the residential market, some are very caring and empathetic and understanding.
Sure.
And others certainly are not.
Sure.
And in the world of commercial, there just is no such thing. Well, so I've been doing this long enough to remember. We used to, not we, but property managers would write contracts that specifically said you don't have to come during these days around, you know, Christmas, on New Year's. We're not going to be open anyhow.
Okay.
And then I have a great story of being sued on New Year's Day, 39 degrees and raining. We had records of going to the site.
Yeah.
Didn't freeze. Somebody fell. It was a $250,000 lawsuit. I mean, I learned my lesson very young that it didn't matter what the contract said. You needed to be on there 24/7. You needed to show up and do something and document it. Because you're really not, nobody's really plowing snow, by the way. We're just managing liability for other people.
Absolutely.
And that's really all we're doing when you do this.
What are you thinking about 2020 with commercial buildings and, COVID and people telecommuting a little bit more? What are you guys noticing the pulse of this fall, winter?
It's mixed every day. It's coming and going. I would hope, and it seems most business owners in that arena are more patient right now.
Okay.
For me, it seems to take forever to get an answer. Everybody's working from home, and I don't think everybody's working all day at home.
Amen.
So things that used to happen rampantly,
control,
and we're like, very panicked. I need your answer now. Nobody really cares. I'll get back with you next week.
Right.
So I don't know how that's going to play out when it snows.
Amen.
Right? Is it going to be like Kyle who looks out the window and says, "Go away"?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Be, where the heck are you?
Sure.
I don't know. We'll see, but. For the most part, most of the people we're talking to want it business as usual, which is really good news.
Right. Do you think that's
but certainly theaters? I mean, we're already doing partial pricing for theaters, gyms.
Sure.
Some of the high-end office buildings, shopping centers are all looking at, okay, give us your normal price, and then what if we didn't use this portion or that portion of the parking lot? But you still have to do you still have to do a large portion of it, or somebody's going to get sued, and it isn't going to be me for failing. So,
well, I wanted to revisit something you said on Corey Ballard. You guys had a great podcast that you did a week or two ago. I was literally listening to it yesterday while I'm on my mower. I'm still on my mower 8 hours a day, bro. I love doing this stuff, and so I'm listening to Troy, and I'm also trying to learn and ask good questions and not ask repeat questions. But you said a really interesting line that my friend Mike and I were both talking about when we did an episode way back when, and that was, what if we got walloped with a 9 or 10 inch snowstorm back in February, March when the COVID stuff happened? That would have been an interesting conversation.
Oh, it sure would have been, and a whole bunch of documentation from a legal standpoint.
Yeah.
Right? So we did begin our winter last year with a liability issue. Our first 9, 10, 12-inch blizzard came in
November 9th.
Before most contracts started.
Yeah.
So most people have an 11/15 start date.
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't have a contract to come to your place.
Totally,
I'm not
dude.
liable. Are you I had people delivering, big players in town, delivering contracts in the lobby.
I remember you saying this.
And still going, yeah, but you're showing up, right? While it's snowing.
Unbelievable.
Let me go find a few dozen guys.
Yeah.
Some equipment, and I'll be right there.
For context, for those of you guys that came to Launchpreneur Academy Live, it was our live event. That was on November, I think, 9th. That was the Saturday. And I had all these Southern guys up, and it was 40
they
degrees.
had to have fun with it. That's kind of cool.
Well, no, they were in and out because they enjoyed coming up to the show, the conference. It was a barn burner for sure. And then it's 38 degrees, 40 degrees. We have outdoor demos at the Suburban Collection, and they're all in their Carhartt jackets and freezing. And all of us Michigan guys are man, beautiful day, right? Because it's 40 degrees. Well, then not only that, but 36 hours later, the whole snow, snowmageddon, right? 9, 10 inches, you said.
It never stopped. There was another poor forecast. It's going to taper off in 6 or 7 hours. It went for a day and a half. It was brutal.
Literally.
And then it got colder and colder and colder. It didn't melt off. Not one of those gone in 2 days things. Didn't do any of that.
And people are hey, you come. I had a couple contracts. I think a lot of folks, even if you were trying to prepare, got caught with their pants down because on both ends.
Oh, yeah.
Were you guys ready?
We're as ready as we could be. I think as near as the guys we measure against in town.
Sure.
Yeah, we beat them all.
That's
as far
good.
as I'm concerned, right? So we start. We're already. Most of my equipment's already done.
Yeah.
Salt's already purchased. Bins are being built.
Yeah. That's what you do.
That's what we do.
Yeah. But a lot of guys.
Admittedly, yeah, and we could find bodies. It just some of the shortage was equipment. Guys,
Sure.
Mike or other guys that we would ask for help with that do some of our subcontracting or service provider partners of us,
they might
not have everything ready.
Well,
right?
I wasn't ready.
So we are adamant about being ready.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, as you've walked around, it's pretty much all we do is get ready for winter.
Totally, dude.
Lawnmowers really don't break. Compliments of wine guards. There's a separate set of trucks for cutting grass, so we don't have to overlap.
Okay.
So you can park those and grab that truck and go plow snow like that.
There you go.
So there's very few overlap of equipment. But boy, were we were trucking stuff all over the city.
Oh,
like
I can
crazy.
imagine. Yeah.
Because you had to get your loaders and your skids and all that stuff out to sites.
Well, I had a friend, Paul, which, by the way, you did an interview with Paul Jameson. Made his day, by the way, Paul Jameson, because the week or two before when he came up to hang out with you and do a podcast on the Green Industry podcast, shout out to Paul, I know he's listening, I was texting you, and I was like, hey, like, you're such a server, like, and you chuckle, but I'm like, hey, Troy, like, I've got this friend coming in, he does this podcast thing, and you're like, what are you kids doing these days? You know, and you just, exactly, you were chuckling, and I go, it would make his day if you were able to do a podcast with him. And I'm like, I told him that you were a big fish, and you're like, well, I don't know about that. And you were like,
they're a lot bigger. They're a lot bigger out there.
Well, when you said sure, I text Paul. I go, dude, big fish. Like, this guy's the man. Like, don't waste this time. And I literally told Paul, I'm like, respect this man. Like, I gave him the rundown, you know, because I super respect you and this whole operation. But Paul was so giddy. He called me after, like, at 11:30 because he was headed to Weingart's, and he's like, or just came back from Weingart's. He's like, dude, I just got done hanging with Troy Clogg, that guy. And he super appreciated and respected your time on the Green Industry podcast.
Yeah. Happy to help, you know. What else is there?
Well, it was funny because he was like, man, there's 400 trucks there. He's like,
he's a little off, but there's a lot.
There's a lot of trucks here. And I go, yeah. He goes, you weren't kidding. And now he's a Georgia boy, right? So they don't do snow. He's like, Brian, when we get snow, we take the week off. And I was like, that's not a thing here. Like, snow is restored order in like 24, maybe 48 hours. Mm-hmm. But I've heard there's like an army of like, 4,000 or 14,000 contractors that go out overnight. It's like a little hidden army, right? And they get this whole place cleaned up.
Something like that.
Unbelievable.
Something like that. But yeah, it's been a good run, and snow is fun.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part, if you get the right people, right attitude.
Yeah.
It's you really feel good about conquering something out there. You know, for people who like that, it can be a battle. Like, it can be super camaraderie, side by side with guys, whether you're on the shovel with them or. You know, I had a blast in that blizzard. I still go out as often as I can. Yeah. Love to plow, shovel next to guys. Now, and more importantly, just respect.
It's a different culture.
It is, and how hard people work. I'm not shoveling for 10 or 12 or 15 hours the whole time. Right. But there are guys my age, younger, strong. that go the entire shift as, again, maybe I did as a young man or previously in my career. But whether you're on the shovel, snow blower, snow raider, in the truck, in the salt truck, in the office answering phones, it's all hands on deck.
Absolutely.
And it can be very, very fulfilling and humbling. And for anybody out there who sells snow, make sure you participate and don't just be a salesperson. Yeah. And make sure you share those stories with the clients, because there's nothing worse than somebody selling something that they've never experienced. Sure. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how many trucks there are or shovels. We're selling human talent and hardworking people who show up on Christmas and go plow people's driveways or go to a parking lot while everybody else is enjoying it, isn't even thinking about it. Right? That's not Monday through Friday cutting grass or laying brick pavers or anything. It is not. Well, you go to Chipotle, and it is worth money. And don't give it away. Well, you go to, dude, absolutely. You go to Chipotle, you go to 12 Oaks Mall, our local mall, and the whole thing is cleared out. And what people don't know is that there was some guy there for 20 hours straight on a big front end loader, right, with the push box, and he's cleaning that thing up all night just so you can go get your last minute Christmas gifts. Yeah. The mall across the street usually looks better, just saying. Okay. Two big malls next door. Troy, whatever. Yeah, if you see the pink plows around town, there's a movie theater where we live now, right, by you. And well, you live in a tent right there now. You have to build something. I got to build. Yeah, well, we're making those. Come on over anytime. Well, I'm gonna go live in your house as a halfway house. We have extra rooms. The kids have all moved out. Troy, everybody says we make the YouTube millions, So if I was making all those millions, I'd already have my home and not financing it for I think we're gonna try to see if we can take a mortgage out on my kids and my kids' kids because they're going to live there too. So my theory is if I can just finance it over 600 months, you can, or 6,000 months. You can in today's world. Yeah, you don't ever have to pay it off. We had this conversation. Yeah. If you have enough life insurance, you don't ever have to pay anything off. Well, we're going to do a little bonus episode one-on-one after this conversation. So this guy, next level thinking, I want to go back to the pink plows. So that was a marketing, branding thing, but also a charitable thing that you've done the last 5, 10, 15 years? 2011, I believe we started. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's turned into, and people think it started as kind of a branding and marketing piece, but I mean, pink was always in our company colors. Our logo's been the same for over 20 years.
Gotcha.
We didn't have pink plows and pink salters, no. So that all started with the creation of Hot Pink De-icer.
Okay.
Which is a blended de-icer that we branded, and we color it pink. And then the super cool commercial news on that is now we can sell it in the entire snow belt of all the United States and all of Canada for the same basic price. So super competitive anywhere. Really has to be truckload pricing. We're not setting up dealers where you can go buy a bag or two, so to speak. Sure. Maybe in the future.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the hot new news for this year. It took 10 years of, you were talking about poking people earlier.
Yeah.
It took 10 years of poke.
Yeah.
Till eventually we created a relationship where that's now available. So.
Well, can you explain the program? Just because of some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, the short news is it's Hot Pink De-icer, sold through Great Deal Products. We'll be pushing more and more social out there and places to get a hold of these guys, it's run by my nephews. And yeah, so it's a pink colored salt. We donate 15 cents from every bag that's sold.
Okay.
We also donate 15 cents of every bag of other people's products that we sell, and 15 cents off every ton of bulk salt that we sell locally.
Wow.
So I mean, we're just in a small little store. We don't sell a lot of bulk salt out there, but
Either
way,
pretty
proud to say that I was of last year, and last year was a pretty mild winter.
Yeah.
We're just north of $20,000 a year in donations, 15 cents at a time.
That's a lot.
So now that we can be across the whole country in Canada, we're hoping that grows into into the six-figure donations every year, direct to local families financially affected by breast cancer.
Wow.
So we go through churches and mostly through the local hospitals to find out there are always people who slip through the cracks. I mean, I got to be careful. I'll get emotional talking about this. There are some people that just that have lived a great life, that work hard, that have great jobs, but eventually the system doesn't take care of them. And usually mom gets sick, sometimes dad, and they have kids. Dad can't work because he's taking care of mom and the kids. Now you have a family that normally would have dual income.
Sure.
And they have no income.
Yeah.
Or very little.
Yeah.
And
that's really cool.
You can imagine how fast the money goes away, right? So the counselors know these families specifically, which is and then our money goes directly to them. So this is not a charity. We can't take donations. We are not a 503c. This is just we add it up, and if this person was, and then we just write them a check, and it shows up like a donation that you would give to anyone.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
So that's what we're doing with it. Well, and then along the way, I met the manufacturers who have their own give backs and their own causes, and whether it's breast cancer or any other cancer, once you start that conversation, somebody knows somebody.
Absolutely.
And so that's then been the process for Metal Plus, who helped us make some stuff in pink, mostly Douglas Dynamics.
Yep.
Snow X, before they were bought by Douglas Dynamics, helped us with some stuff. So yeah, that's why we do it. Well,
this same time last year, my wife's mom was going through breast cancer. My aunt was going through breast cancer, and my mom felt a lump under her breast. And so you want to talk about your world flipping upside down in like a matter of minutes or weeks. It was an interesting, recovered, and actually it was just some other like fluid thing, but it was no big deal, thankfully. But you never know. And
you never know. I mean, eventually we're all leaving this planet for one reason or another. And although we've helped people like in all age brackets, you meet, people in their early 20s.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Double mastectomy. Oh my gosh, this is some sad stories. And people in their 60s and 70s and 80s, right? And everybody in between. But just like the story I shared, there, sooner or later, money can run out pretty fast in our world. So that's all we do.
That's super cool.
And the product is priced the same as anybody else's out there. And works as good or better as far as I'm concerned with the concoction we have in there. And it helps families. I mean, what the heck?
Yeah. Well, if people want it, you said you don't do like bags, but you said like pallets and truckloads. So imagine,
unless we set up local dealers. So Detroit has dealers around it. So that if you're on the east side, if you're on the south, you can go pick up smaller quantities.
Yeah.
Or out in Livingston County.
But somebody can buy a pallet or something like that,
Yeah,
you're saying?
oh yeah.
Okay.
And actually, locally, our friends at Hirsch are now helping us move this product.
Okay, okay. Well, shout out to those guys.
So, yeah, why not?
Look at this guy, man.
Steve and Ed are going after it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
we got serial entrepreneur and philanthropist Troy Clogg on the ones and twos today.
well, it took a long, if you're a local Michigan guy, they are
Hit us up.
They're really good at distribution, right?
That's awesome.
And not that we aren't either, but yeah.
Hey, fun.
And they're all wearing pink shoes, so keep an eye. Anybody who knows Steve and Ed, make sure they have their pink shoes on.
Pink shoes?
Because you got to have them on every day.
The Converse pink shoes.
You got to have them on every day if you're really getting into the program.
I love it. I love it.
Here's what's still ahead on this episode of Fullerton Unfiltered.
Well, and how the whole market works, the story I just shared. How many layers are in there and how many things from the supply chain that can break down before you go buy your salt at the corner in the middle of the night. And if you can't get it and you fail, who's getting sued? That's all this comes back to, who's getting sued for failing and becoming liable, right? So, I'm not getting sued because I couldn't get product. It's not going to happen.
More of Brian's interview with Troy Clogg right after a word from our sponsors.
Looking to outfit your trailer with the best racks in the industry? Head over to Equipment Defender. Be secure, look professional, be organized, stop thieves and damage in their tracks. Equipment Defender has racks for backpack blowers, trimmers, gas cans, backpack sprayers, and more. Stay organized, stay secure with Equipment Defender. All Equipment Defender racks work in either open or enclosed trailers. Get secure and organized today at equipmentdefender.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Equipment Defender. For those of you guys interested in breaking into the snow removal game, this one's for you. Now available exclusively at thelawnpreneuracademy.com. We've got you covered with the How to Get Started Plowing Snow training program. This powerful resource is there to help you guys learn the basics to plowing snow, what to charge, major pitfalls and mistakes to avoid, and so much more. Hands down, one of the most anticipated and helpful training programs we have available. We'll get you up to speed on how to crush it with your snow removal business in no time. Check out the training program today at lawnpreneuracademy.com, because before you know it, we'll be out there plowing that snow and making that dough.
Hey, Mr. Producer here. I know I've said it before, but sometimes I struggle to spell Lawntrepreneur. Don't worry. Just let Google handle it for you, lawnpreneuracademy.com. Once you're there, look for the link at the top that just says store. When you click on that link, scroll down a little bit and you can see all of our programs, but of course, get access to the snow program that you just heard about. You can also look for the link in the show notes. And now back to more of Fullerton Unfiltered. Once again, here's Brian.
Hey, one other thing I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if there's any merit to this story, but I've been wanting to ask you this for like 2 years, ever since Bedell said. Bedell.
I don't even know. Okay, Mike, where's this one going?
Is there any merit to the truth that you bought a barge full of salt from Egypt?
Or something? Barges don't carry enough salt. I bought a shipload.
A shipload?
Which is way more than a barge load. So, yes, it happened.
What does that even look like? How do you do that? Who do you call? Like Egypt? They got an 800 number?
You can go direct. Or there's brokers that coordinate that.
There's always a bigger fish.
Just like anything else, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, I did that. I've done it several times since, but I did it the first time. We talked about control for a minute, right? So
sure.
There's control of time, but there's also control of I'm not going to fail, right? And so that was the winter after our big winter here was 13, 14, where we had 95 inches or whatever.
Yep. That was the year I went per push, by the way.
Good call.
Yeah, no,
I had snow insurance.
Yeah.
So if you don't have snow insurance and don't know about it, Google that. Check out Mr. Robert Holmes at Spectrum Insurance, because that's the only way to go is make sure you cover your risk.
Sure.
So that's how we survived that year.
Yep.
However, we were a big salt buyer, blah, blah, blah. We do all the stuff. By then, I had put all my eggs in one basket with one supplier because we had grown to a higher volume. The following year, myself and so many other contractors of our size around the Midwest all were told, no more salt.
Who said no?
The provider.
Okay.
So I'll leave their name out of it, but
fair enough.
but there's Morton's and Cargill's and
the big
you're
big
buying
players.
direct with those guys.
Okay.
And so they say no thank you to a whole bunch of us. So I was talking to guys in Milwaukee and Cleveland and the west side of Michigan, and they were all getting cut off.
Wow.
So that's complete failure for us.
Yeah, what do you do? Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean no?
Yeah.
Not it's this much money or it's that. What do you mean no? Everybody you talk to.
No is not an option.
No is not an option.
Amen.
So Egypt is an option. And
Okay.
so is Chile and...
Can you bring this up a little bit?
Of course I can.
There you go. Appreciate it.
Well,
this is a good story. We're not missing this one.
And so there are options, right? And so figure it out through some brokers that I met. I haven't figured it out. I'm a more people person than I am technology, right? So you find your way through people. And coordinated. So found a dock to store it on. We put 24-hour guards on it because it's a huge pile. I met the ship with my nephew, and I've got some fun videos of that. We actually went out on the ship, met the captain, hung up. It takes about, 10 or 12, 15 hours to offload a ship. It's a huge conveyor, shoots at 150 feet, and makes a giant pile of brown salt that nobody'd ever seen in this market. This market's full of white and blue salt.
A little sandy.
So then you have a big pile of brown stuff that really doesn't have any sand in it, but it sure looks like it.
No kidding.
And then why are you spreading dirt on my parking lots and all the other stuff? Now the market, because it's been tight for a while, the market's gotten a lot more comfortable. And so have so many other markets around the country with salt that isn't pure white or pure blue. Anyway, yeah. So it was that was the beginning. It was a full ship that I did split with another contractor nearby.
Yeah. What does that cost? If you don't mind, is that like 6-figure checks, 7-figure checks? Can you give anything away?
You could. Well, at that price point, it was just under 7 figures.
You bought a ship full of salt from Egypt
So
for under $1 million.
Put things in perspective. Salt is about the same price anywhere in the world.
Okay.
When it comes out of the ground.
Yep.
Right? So whatever unit, call it $10, $20, whatever it is, it's about the same price no matter where it comes. It's all about the transportation cost. So to get to the Great Lakes, so the east coast of this country has very easily gets salt from overseas. In fact, cheaper than it gets it from the United States because you can use ocean vessels, which haul more, straight across the coast, offload on the ports, and you have a bunch of salt because the mines aren't as close to the ports as they are here. Okay. Growing up in Michigan or around the Great Lakes, if you're close to a Great Lake, you're used to going to a port. Anyway. Anyway, and you get it. Well, so the ship has to come from somewhere around the world, which is a bigger ship, not a Great Lakes vessel, and it has to go up and come in the St. Lawrence Seaway and blah, 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 and then it has to offload on the ground and then back into another ship that can't hold it all. So you have to sell or leave behind X amount of thousands of tons in another port, typically in Canada, when you're coming here, and try to sell it in that market. Then it gets in that ship, and then that ship comes through the St. Lawrence Seaway and ends up somewhere in the Great Lakes. So the shipping shipping cost alone for the last leg, this just puts things in perspective. Just the ship it was on this boat for 20 some hours. Okay. The last leg of the trip. So inside from St. Lawrence Seaway into Michigan in early December was $437 or $57. It was $400 and some $1,000 for that piece of the shipping.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you ran these numbers and it was equitable, it was profitable, it made sense, or
as opposed to zero?
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
No.
So and that's one of the main reasons salt prices go so volatile. It isn't an infinite thing.
Right. No, for sure.
Right. And so those winners had depleted the stock everywhere.
Yeah.
And so the years when salt sells for $70 and up, so to speak, or at least historically, you can per ton in this market. Now you're at the cusp of can I import salt?
Okay.
Now, mind you, Cargill's, Morton's, all the big names, Compass, they all buy import salt as well. They don't just mine locally in any part of the country. Okay. They also ship stuff in. Barges, so now your shipping story. Barges typically come up the Mississippi.
Yep.
Right? And they hold about 20,000 tons at 15,000 tons. They're smaller loads.
Dude, are you kidding me? Like if you're watching if you're listening to the podcast, we're on video, by the way, and this is hilarious, bro. This is hilarious.
We got a fly in here.
Yeah.
Did you bring that? It's because the door's wide open over there. We're enjoying the fresh air.
We got some nice days finally,
We do.
We got some rains, but So you bought barges and freighter loads worth of not freighter or barges, but you bought shipping containers.
Ship.
If you're watching on video,
there's an article out there I wrote somewhere. So
if you're watching this on video, you just see me like for the last 10 minutes shaking my head in like disbelief. But
and it's crazy. So you ask if it was profitable, and the reality is no.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. But you got contracts.
It's like anything that you have to have.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody tells you no. I mean, people out here, we all buy insurance for our companies. Be careful who you buy from.
Absolutely.
Because if you keep going to the same person, eventually you'll be potentially paying too much for insurance. Or as your business grows, trust me, there are different vendors than your local agent that we all start with.
Yeah.
It's a different market. And salt's the same thing.
Right.
There are the 4 or 5, 6 giant, players, and you work your way down this food chain.
Sure.
Till so many guys just pull in the local Site One or the local whatever and buy their 1 ton or 3 tons for the night and call it a day.
Okay.
It's educational to know how many food chain, and COVID's doing the same thing to stuff right now, right? You can't get. I got a buddy doing buildings. You can't get all the appliances he's ordered. There's a million of those
Roofing,
stories, right?
What's it called? Shingles and stuff like that.
You just can't get them, right?
Yeah.
Well.
Brick pavers. Pavers.
Yeah, harder. I mean, all the manufacturers are having a hard time keeping up. And so salt is the same thing. And if it doesn't get to our country before the ice sets in, it's not getting here.
No, for sure.
So that's why people are moving. Carl, who owns BSM, down in somewhere in Kansas City area, right? So they're bringing stuff up by barges and treating it. And, right, everybody's getting their stuff ready.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And for those who don't, I mean, that all starts in April.
Oh yeah. Well, let me ask you this: any things you want to leave these guys? Because I got to get running to another podcast here. You and I literally could talk for days.
Come on by.
We need to get you on the show. A couple
why don't
times.
we just set one of these things up permanently?
We should. You should make a studio.
And I can, and then the fly won't come into the conference room.
Yeah,
that's from the open bay door around the corner. Yeah, we can make that happen.
First off,
make that happen.
I was telling Troy I need to borrow some, $500,000 at 2%. You know what I'm saying?
I can introduce you to the finance companies, the same place I go.
Well, they said, well, I'm going to call them up and they say, so how many shiploads of salt do you want? No, it's for a home. You know what I mean? Because that's a different pay grade here. But anything, some of you guys. Well, thumbs up if you're buying shiploads.
Well, and I do want to finish that story because it is, and again, I wrote an article on this because it seemed that there weren't any out there.
Mm-hmm. Contingencies.
And how the whole market works, the story I just shared, how many layers are in there and how many things from the supply chain that can break down before you go buy your salt at the corner in the middle of the night. And if you can't get it and you fail, who's getting sued? That's all just comes back to who's getting sued for failing and becoming liable, right? So, I'm not getting sued because I couldn't get product. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. So during those times, the other challenge is now whether it's that much salt or some other number, you're prepaying for salt months before the winter kicks in.
Okay.
So whether you have the money, whether you're borrowing the money, which most people like myself are borrowing the money one way, shape, or form, right?
Sure.
You're paying interest on it. You're paying storage on it. So whatever you pay just keeps getting more expensive. The longer it sits there,
you're right.
Your price just keeps going up.
Do you guys have
and then so now the season's flipped again. It's back to what used to be normal here. I don't know how long it'll stay, but now because we've had mild winters and people have gotten their stockpiles back up, you can buy salt with reasonable terms, with a reasonable deposit, with pay 30 days or so or to 15 days after you use it, so you can actually get ahead of the billing cycle with your clients. When the salt went the other way, not cool, devastating to many of us. So no, I'm not here to say there was any real money in that.
Yeah, right.
There was just security in that we weren't going to fail.
And sometimes there's different wins and losses, and it's a different year that year. I mean, you've been doing this for 40 years, right?
Yeah, I want enough to still close to 40, but I want enough to still be here. But
there you go.
But I didn't win them all.
Well, I'm in year right. I'm in year. I think this would be my third or fourth. I don't even know, dude. It's of snow. And Bedell is he's just putting me under his wing. He's like, come here. And we're actually already having these conversations. I'm like, dude, what are we doing for salt this year? He goes, well, it actually might be a little bit more advantageous for the customer. It might be a lower price. And I'm like, what? Like, because it's always been up, up since I've been doing it for 3 years. And so we're literally like fine tuning things. And to go full circle to what you said, there's never a dull moment in snow. It's not the same predictable. And not say that lawn and landscaping is predictable, but it's way less exposure, way more predictable, in my opinion.
Way more. And anybody in snow, I mean, it's important to be transparent and share with the clients what's going on because they didn't understand any of this stuff. Believe me, the main reason to write the article was for clients as well as other people in the industry to understand how this all works.
Sure.
The more we know, the more we can communicate it. And yeah, when prices were going 200% and 300% higher and you have to pass that on to a client, you need to tell them why.
Right.
And when you're in this market, the first thing they say is, wait a minute, that can't be true. There's a salt mine in Detroit. Like, okay. And then you have to go, we want another podcast, but you have to go through a whole story, which is real simple. The Detroit salt mines, although they do exist, they don't exist to supply enough salt for everybody who needs it the minute they need it.
Amen.
That's just not the way it works.
Wait,
it's like any provider.
Like in our
they
industry.
only have this much that they might. Right. You can't call any one of us and give us as much work as you want overnight.
Wow.
And expect us to perform tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just not how it works.
People showing up in your lobby with contracts. But we signed the contract, Troy.
They do. And it's dated 4 days from now, but you're still showing up, right?
Hey, we
you know what? The answer is yes, we are. We'll be right there.
We had the same thing with our contracts. I was like, yeah, this is a bonus. I shot them an email, like, just to say, hey, like, for liability, but do you want us to do it? They said, there's 10 inches of snow on the ground, of course. Like, and of course, their tenants are going to get mad. So it all,
Right. And to circle back on the, transparency with the client's important to give them education.
Yep.
But the price point, the price marker to use is what's the local supplier selling it for. Whether you buy a shipload, whether you buy a part of a ship, whether you buy a truckload, or whether you buy 2 tons, the consistent market to watch is what's your local supply yard selling it for.
Sure.
Right? That's the price
you should be working with.
that you should be working with.
Fair enough.
And also, salt's a portion of the contract, but again, the human talent and the equipment is a much bigger portion. And so the price breaks, when people say, salt came down, well, do the math. Inside this $10,000 contract, it came down, so here's your $300. I mean, it's not
significant.
It's not turning your 10s to 5s and 7s. And
that's what Bedell was telling me.
And no customer should ever expect it, and if they do, it's because they're not being educated properly by their contractor.
I like it.
That's my opinion.
This is good. Final thoughts that you want to leave these guys? We gotta. If you're open to it, I'd love to get you on a part 1 or 2, or a part 2 or 3.
So we've talked about this business model, Brian. We can set up a studio.
I know. Look at this guy.
I can put a guy on your mower for 8 hours, so you can do this those 8 hours.
Troy has,
and we can go places, brother.
6
months,
months
make this happen.
6 months ago, Troy goes, "Hey, imagine for a second you didn't have to cut a single lawn. Now what would you do?" And I've been in survival mode, right, for 10, 12 years. I was telling him, and I go, Troy, I have no idea, dude. That's not even, my wife and I, we just caught our breath like the last 12 months. And so we'll have some more conversations. We got to see where it goes.
Why not?
Worst case scenario, you get to do my whole front landscaping, right?
That's it?
So
that's it?
You gotta
just the front?
Well, you can do the back, too.
I want to do the back. That's where all the fun people hang out. The front's for
the
neighbors to drive by. Who cares what the
neighbors
You want to do
the back?
Think?
Let's do the back, too, man.
The back is the fun part.
I want a pool, that's where the outdoor living space, the patio.
That's where the kids play. Yeah. That's where family comes over forever.
Are you going to come over for the house christening, the opening?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll smash a bottle of champagne on it.
On the brick pavers.
Yeah.
On the outdoor kitchen.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll make you one of those.
There you go.
But it won't be out of brick.
No.
Anybody can do that.
Oh. Jeez, oh, Peace, look at this guy.
So we'll have some fun.
My ecosystem is like so rookie, so amateur. I need to, until you got to buy, spaceships is next, right, of salt, because that's what you're going to be 20 years from now.
No.
I bought this.
Real simple.
I love it.
Real simple. It's at the end of the day, all this stuff, and that's there's nothing more. We're just doing more than than you do, or Mike does, or a smaller company.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Everything else is the same.
Yep.
Right? There is no, if you do 100 more things, it's cheaper. No, it's not.
Right.
For all the reasons I keep explaining. You still have to find the great talent. You still have to own or lease or provide the truck and the plow and all the equipment. You still have to do the paperwork. You still have to communicate with the client. All of that stuff still happens.
Wow. Take care of the people.
The only difference is whether you're one guy in a truck or 101 guys in a truck, or men, women, doesn't matter. There is no economies of scale of any huge substance, right?
I mean, remember you saying that, yeah.
There just isn't. I mean, maybe a bunch of driveways in a row or a bunch of parking lots in a row.
Sure.
There's a little less travel time. But that's...
But don't discount for that thought.
No.
Right.
Don't discount for that thought. That's your hard work that you went out and assembled a whole bunch of people in the same area, and you put the people there, and
that's your bonus.
You did all that stuff, right?
Good for you.
And so, so if you pick up an extra 1%, 2%, 3%, because it's all it's going to be
at
the end of the thing.
Sure.
Don't be offering 10 and 20 and 30% discounts because you get 3 neighbors in a row because you're not saving that much.
Right.
Never. My number one suggestion for everyone always is to measure and measure and measure and measure on a small scale. Per job, per day, per person,
per hour.
Every measurement here per hour. Yeah. Every measurement here goes back to which foreman ultimately did it, which project manager maybe was over them, which department they were in, all of it. It all has to go back to see who's responsible. So that's the same as if it was you running your company and it all comes back to Brian.
Yep.
It's the same. And then it just gets, you still have to do it over and over and over and over and over again, no matter how many people you have. There's no secret sauce I figured out.
Just hard work and commitment.
Just find more great people.
I love it, man. Hey, I'll plug a couple of resources. The Green Grind podcast with Corey Ballard. You did a really good episode with him. Like I said, I was listening to that just yesterday. Paul Jameson Green Industry podcast. You did a great conversation with him in person. I know seriously, you made his day. You made his week. He did 10 other podcasts, but all he talked about was Troy. And
he's got a nice little Georgia drawl there.
I know, right?
I like it. I've got some good buddies from Georgia, and he's
a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Well, if people want to find
more,
more,
Corey wasn't either.
No, Corey's crazy. We just got to work on him smiling more. I call him Chuckles, so I'm just having fun. Corey's so intense, but he's a butt kicker,
He's intense.
But if people want to find more about Troy Clogg Landscape Associates, do you like the website, maybe the socials, just if you want to plug them really quick?
Yeah, they're all basically under my name because the company is, right? So it's Troy Clogg Landscape Associates, Snow Associates, troyclogg.com.
Yep.
And along the same on Instagram, same on Facebook. They're all out there under just the company name.
Yep.
The product line, though, is Hot Pink De-icer.
And Great Deal Products.
That's
your supply yard.
That's the supply yard. And Hot Pink De-icer is its own little entity. It's its own little world.
Sure.
We sell what little we sell locally.
Yeah.
Out of there, like anybody would locally. But the trick to that's getting it into the larger buyers in other markets.
Absolutely.
And there is, and I'm not saying we're looking for dealers, but we're looking for people to help promote it.
Yeah.
In other areas, maybe, if you're a smaller contractor, 2 or 3 guys get together, buy a truckload.
Yep.
You'll save money on the product. You'll help some families, and who knows where it can go from there.
Well, I know Mike buys it. It's what he uses for all of our ice melt that he puts down, which is really cool. So for you guys that are watching on YouTube, by the way, we'll link a couple of videos that we did with Troy, the whole shop and tour walkthrough. We got a little shiplap brick, beautiful background here, and this cute little corner of like one little room. This place is how many square feet? You said 20,000, 40,000, 50,000? How big is this place, dude? I don't even know.
What do you do for a living, Brian? You don't measure anything in your head when you walk in?
I got architects for that. That's why you're an architect.
Yeah, it's 19. The building's 19,000 feet, and it's on 7 acres of.
Okay. Well, we did a whole video. It was like a 22-minute shop tour and walk through the whole offices and then the mechanic side of the business and the yard a little bit. It was really, really cool. And I know a lot of guys loved the last 4 or 5 minutes when you were just speaking some wisdom and some advice to some of the guys just getting started. It was really well-received video. So
good. Well, thank you for just showing up and
Yeah.
Deciding we were doing that.
Again, I was trying to help you get the place appraised.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're going to forward that to the appraiser today, so he has a full video.
That was the dry run, you know?
Yeah.
So you like know what doors to like open and show him and then what not to show him, you know what I'm saying? So
just walk around and tell the same story. I don't think he cared about the actual vibe, though. I mean, he may have as a person, but that's not going to help the real estate value. I don't think they care if that wall is brick or drywall, but I do.
Well, hey, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
We really do appreciate it. Troy Clogg, guys, and that's another episode of Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast. So, guys, we'll catch up with you guys on the next one. And for those of you guys watching on YouTube, thumbs up. Tell something in the comments down below how much you appreciated Troy and this podcast. And the guy bought a ship full of salt. I mean, what else do you need to know? So,
something like that.
All right, over and out, guys. We'll see you.
Peace out, guys.
Troy Clogg is always one of our favorite guests, and he's always so generous with his time. Hi there, it's Mr. Producer. lots of talk on today's program about YouTube, so let me go ahead and steer you over to Brian's new channel, Fullerton Party of Two. This is a channel on YouTube where Brian and his wife Liz document and share bits and pieces of their daily adventures. In fact, I'm clicking over to the channel right now. They've got a sneak peek up of some of the first architectural drawings from the new homestead. There's some tours of the property that they've purchased that you've heard Brian reference before. Now, the one video on here that has me scratching my head a little bit is called Petting the Giraffes. I've not seen that one yet, but promise, Brian, I will get to that. As you can imagine, being young, newlyweds, business owners, they've got a full life, never a dull moment, and they just want to share it with you. Fullerton Party of Two.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.